everybody, and welcome to Ministry Extended. As we get ready to get started, I want to get ready for Don't Get It Twisted, Episode 1. So come on in, everybody. Please go ahead and hit the share button as we get ready. Hello, Felicia. Good to see you. As we get ready to get started, please go ahead and hit the share button. We're going to be opening up the episode for the first time. So we're on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. So right now, if you're there, take the time out to go ahead and let people know that we are live. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and hit the heart button. Let's get everybody up and going as we get ready to get started. Welcome. I'm Pastor Ricky McDonald, and this is Lady Shamecca McDonald, and we're excited to bring Don't Get It Twisted to you. As we get ready to get started on today, we're going to be dealing from this topic. The topic we're talking about today is dating while healing. That's what we're going to be talking about today, dating while healing. For those who may not know, we have a Gmail, and what you can do is you could actually send a letter in if you would like for us just to discuss. And we're going to basically, without giving names and stuff, we're going to bring that letter forth, and we're going to then discuss it from our perspectives on how to address each one of these topics. At the end of it, we'll do a Q&A. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. We will answer them to the best of our ability. We are asking, as always, please be respectful to everybody that's here. Please take the time out to make sure that you are respecting the opinion of others. You don't have to agree, but please, all of us, please respect each other. I don't want to block anyone. So please take the time out to make sure that you are respecting each and every other person that is here. All right? So as we get ready to get started on today, I'm going to open the floor up with, I guess I'll read the first letter, and then Lady Shamecca read the second. So the first letter that we had today, I'll read out loud. I'm going to give her a moment to pull that up. And it says, "Hello, I'm a 31-year-old woman born and raised in Detroit, but I moved to New Jersey 3 years ago. I have a close circle of a few girlfriends, but stay mostly to myself. I am currently in therapy to work through some traumas such as physical and emotional abuse by my biological parents and being inappropriately touched by a family friend. These things have led to me having a low self-esteem, and when I dated, I allowed a lot of red flags to pass and ended up in really bad relationships. I have not dated for 2 years now. However, I feel as though I have made some great progress in therapy and have been working really hard on myself. I have started dating again and met a really nice guy who I vibe well with. I mentioned it to one of my closest friends, and she immediately seemed annoyed. When I asked what the problem was, she explained that she didn't think that I was ready to date. In her opinion, I would just repeat the cycle of dating men who mistreated me, and I wouldn't fall back into a depression that she would have nursed me out of. We have a small back and forth, and she left. We haven't spoken in 3 days. I feel like she blew things out of proportion, and as my friend should have noticed my growth, I feel like 2 years into my healing journey is enough time to start dating. Is it too soon to start dating while I'm working through my issues?" All right. So I'm open the floor, and you want me to go first? Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm going first. All right. So before we get ready to get into that, the first thing I want to talk about is dating while healing. I want to deal with that. From my perspective, I'm going to go since she wants me to go first. So with my opinion on this, one of the things that I wanted to address is because if you're watching, which I think you are, I want to make sure that you understand that first off is it is. I'm trying to see how I word that. Okay, yeah. So whenever you've been through trauma and you've experienced a lot of trauma in your life, it is easy to transfer that trauma to someone else. So I believe that during that time that you should wait on dating. And the reason why you should be waiting on dating is because you need time to work on you. And by working on you, it gives you a chance to get over what you've been through without overanalyzing everyone that comes your direction. So for some of you, you may have been there. How many of you that are watching now have been in a place where you were dating someone while you were going through your own traumas, your own pain, your own, not trusting, and then every little thing they did reminded you of something that happened to you in your past, right? You started looking at them, you started saying, well, oh, this looked like this, or this reminds me of that, or you doing this, and I remember when, and that's not fair. That's not fair for any of us to put that on someone else. So, in my perspective, I think that you should take the time out to work through some of those things. And I'm not saying work through them all, because God knows we can't work through them all. But let's work through as much of those things that we can, so that as we get ready to move forward, that we now moving forward, at least knowing what I want and what I desire from something, so I don't go into it wrong, or go into it with that trauma.
I had a different of opinion. I personally feel that a lot of people, especially people who've been through therapy, know that there's a saying that you are healing, but you are not healed. And I don't think that anybody is ever fully healed. And I feel like if you've gone through 2 years of therapy, two months of therapy is good progress for a lot of people. So 2 years is really having been worked on yourself. So I think in 2 years you recognize what triggers you have, you recognize what signs to look for, you know what you're looking for and what you're not looking for, what you do want and what you won't accept anymore. So I think that it's okay to date while you're still healing. And I feel like if everybody waited until they were already healed to date, nobody would be anywhere. And I'm gonna put our business out there a little bit and say that I think that when he and I first started dating, we had a lot of stuff that we needed to heal with. And there was even times where it became conflict, and it became friction, where we would see things in each other from a past trauma and think, I'm not going through that again. But if you have somebody that you're willing to do the work with and communicate with and say, I am going through this thing, I have this thing happening, just let the person know up front, I am in therapy, I am working on some things, I have been through some traumas, so I still would like to date you, I still would like to be with you. If that person is right for you, then I don't see why it couldn't work. I just think that you very much could date while you're working on healing.
Well, I definitely understand that. And when you look at it like that, it's true. However, one of the things that you said that really stood out is the fact that when you started discussing, you said when we started dating, that there was a lot of triggers that we both had. And some of those things, had we not been a little more, self-aware, it could have ended us from the beginning. Some of those things really started off because it was like, yeah, that's a red flag for me. And it's easy to count something as a red flag when it's still a underlying trauma in your life. It may not even be a red flag. Not saying that, because I definitely want to make this clear. I'm not saying to avoid or act as if red flags don't exist, because that's not true. I never want you to look past things as if they don't exist, because they are. That is things that help cover you and protect you. And I never want you to believe that those intuitions that you're having should not be aware. However, if you are going through pain and you are going through trauma, I'm gonna give an example. With this letter, she said that she went through physical and emotional abuse from her parents. So this happened. This had to be something that may have started when she was even in her teens or before. She could have been a toddler going through this. So now that means that now let's back up for a moment. That means her father figure that she had, because I don't know if the father was the abuser or the mother or both, but now every man that she has grabbed has been linked to what she thinks a man is through the trauma of her father. So now everyone she grabs, everyone that she adjusts to, everybody she sees is going to be somewhat of what it is she's been trying to avoid ever since she was a kid. So I say that because now I believe that now she has to be able to go and say, okay, I've been dealing with this. I've never dealt with this. I'm now going to talk to someone about it. And maybe I need to work through that before I go out and look, because maybe my view of what I'm looking for is not accurate based on what I've been exposed to. Yeah, I'm saying, like, what do you think?
So again, it's a difference of opinion. I feel like if you just wait until, how many things have we had happen in our lives that we just let pass by because we said, I'm not there yet. Once I get a little more this, then I'll go do that. Once I'm a little bit more financially stable, I'll take that trip. Once I do this and I'm more stable here, I'll do this. You always wait and put something off until you are more something, and then it never ends up happening. Um, I feel like if you are able to communicate enough, then you shouldn't have a problem with it. It's not that she went out seeking relationships. This is somebody that came in and pursued her. So it's not so much her going out and trying to find, but if it does come to you, you never know. You could be blocking your blessing by just saying, no, I'm not there yet. I'm not completely healed, so I'm not going to date. I know that, as we both mentioned, we had our own triggers, like, again, putting us out there. We have two different communication styles, in more ways than one. And one of those things is when he would go out somewhere and I wouldn't be there, he would video chat me and or tell me, hey, I've been here, I'm going there, this is what I did. And he'd give me so much information about where he was. And in his mind, he was killing it. He was doing the right thing. He's like, yeah, communication. This is it. And in my mind, I'm looking at him sideways, because who gives you that much information unless they're trying to lie to you? Because that's where I've been before, is that I've been with somebody who gave me so much information that I wouldn't have to ask questions because they were doing the wrong thing in the first place. So while he's thinking he's killing it, I'm thinking that
I'm killing it.
Exactly. Like, you're killing something. You're killing this relationship, because that's what's happening. So I feel like because I was in a healing journey at the time, I still am till this day, every day. I think until I close my eyes for last time, I'm going to be working on myself. So I finally did open up and say to him, when you give me all that information, it sounds super suspect. Like, when you sit here and you tell me so much, it makes me feel like you're covering something. So he and I were able to come to a common ground where I'll let you know where I'm at, and I'll FaceTime you or messenger you whenever I get there to let you know I made it safe, versus the pile on the information that made me feel insecure in what we were doing. And I think that the reason that I am so pro dating while healing is because I found my husband while I was dating, while I was healing, because I knew what I wanted and what I would be okay with. And I was able and open, and I had the right tools and communication and resources available to me to get it across to him what I actually needed from a partner, what I was going through, so that he can make a conscious decision on his own to say, yeah, that's not for me. I don't have it for you like that. I don't have the capacity to do that yet. So that it didn't waste either of our time. So that's why I'm very much pro dating while healing.
Okay. So I want to reset the room for those who just joined. I want to take the time out to welcome you to Don't Get It Twisted, episode 1. So definitely, we want to thank you for joining us on tonight. We'll be going on Sundays. We'll be doing the same thing again on Sundays at 6 o'clock, unless we tell you otherwise. So we want to be doing that. A question. I anti-dating while healing. My fear would be me traumatizing someone because I haven't healed yet. Exactly. So, sunshine and honey. I definitely agree with that. That's my fear. My fear, because I have been that person. I'm once again putting myself out there. I have been that person who have hurt people because I was hurt and didn't know how to deal with my own hurt. And me talking to them and going through the process was misleading. And I end up leading people in a direction that I know I was not ready to go mentally, emotionally, or nothing. But then I was there sexually, and we're going to deal with that on another day. And all of a sudden, I realized that what they expected, I was not willing to give because of my pain, because of my trauma. Okay, so I definitely agree with that. One of the things that I do but I did want to take some time to myself and work on me, because I did find out in that journey. I said, you know what? I need to work on me so that I don't keep repeating the cycles that I've been putting myself through. Now, once again, I agree with Shameka as far as in it's nothing wrong with you dating someone while you are healing. If you know that you are in the place, this is my perspective again. This is why we're doing this, because it's not my job to agree with her or her to agree with me. It's for us to talk from both perspectives so that whoever is listening, including the writers, can be able to hear both sides and make a logical and decision for themselves, listening to both sides, or maybe an agreement if we do agree on something. But in this place, I felt like until I can work on me, everything I do is possibly misleading. Everything I do is possibly misguiding, and I don't want to do that intentionally. I want to put that there intentionally. I don't want to do that. At one time in my life, I didn't care, but I grew up and I became more mature, and I do care about other people's feelings, other people's emotions, and things like that, because I care about mine. I want people to care about mine as well. So I do take the time out to say that for those, my stance is take that time to work on you, so you know what you need when you are connected to someone else, so you know what you're willing to handle and what you're saying I no longer want a part of, because that trauma can also be misleading. You dealing with your traumas can pull you into a place where you think you're ready for the next when you wasn't even prepared in your now.
I also think, though, that if you are deep enough into your healing process where you have your own self-awareness, that you find someone and you guys have discussed that, what it is that you're trying to do for yourself, I feel like it'll also bring awareness to your partner, though, to say, hey, have you thought about talking to somebody about these things, where they can think that, oh, it's not a big deal. I've dated people before that have said things to me and they said it in such a normal tone. Things that I know for a fact are abuse. Like I once dated a guy years ago who told me that he lost his virginity at 11 years old to a 20-something year old. And he didn't see anything wrong with that. And it kind of opened my eyes to why he was the way that he was. And it made me say, hey, have you ever thought about talking to somebody about these things so that maybe they can become a little bit aware of because a lot of the times, especially in the Black community, a lot of the things that we go through, we don't see as trauma, we see as tradition. And we don't see it we see it as our upbringing. We see it as as what we've done over the generations. But a lot of things that we've done over the generations as Black people is rooted in trauma. So I feel like if you have a situation and you're going through your healing and you're getting through the process, it also helps. I'm not saying that you need to then in turn be the therapist for the other person, but I think that it helps to point out or to at least say, hey, have you thought about maybe speaking to somebody because I noticed this. And if they are open to you being on the journey, it doesn't, it's possible they might be as open to go on with themselves.
Renee says, I think it's a growing thing. Learning what we want and what we won't accept is also key, but communication works. It took me and my mate several years to learn who we were and who we wanted to be now. Michelle says, she said, I was leaking all over the place because I did not seek the help that I needed. And people need to stop thinking that you're going to get healed through a relationship. Those are great points. So I do. I want to say this right here. Then we want to get to the next letter. What I want to say is this, and I'm going to give her a chance if she wants to say something on this as well. What I want to say is this. This is a question I'm asking, but I want you to ask yourself this: Where am I now? Right? And I ask that because I'm not talking about who are you for someone else. See, this is an issue that I have, is that for so long we become what we need for others, but we don't know what we need for ourselves. So you as a mother, for those who are mothers or those who are fathers, if I ask you right now as a parent, who are you? Or just, you ain't got to be a parent, just who are you? You will start listing who you are for them. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a wife. This is who you are for people. That's not who you are. That's who you have to become for others. I'm a teacher. That's still something for someone else. And a lot of times we don't know who we are because our life is completely structured around who we must be for someone else. And then you have trauma in the midst of that. So now I have to be this, be that, and push my emotions and myself to the side because I can't deal with that because of who I have to be for other people all the time. But the thing but the part that bothers me is that the moment you say, well, you know what, let's start dating. Now I'm gonna ask you, am I dating according to who I am, or am I dating on what I had to be throughout all this other time? So all my trauma, all that's swept under the rug. So I'm carrying that almost like an undergarment as I'm out there dating. So now is that a part when I start choosing what I want, am I choosing it based on what I really need for me and want for me as a companion? Or am I choosing it based on what I think I need based on my trauma? Because there's a lot of us who have been in relationships, come on, y'all, and we wanted something in that moment, but as we matured, we realized that what I thought I wanted is not what I was looking for. That is not what I was. I didn't get into this for this, right? You know what I'm saying? You started dating him because he was good in bed. Now you realize he don't want to work, he don't want to take care of nothing. But yeah, but he know how to put it down. And now he's putting you down because he don't know how to satisfy you past physical. Oh, she has a nice body, but now you come back and you overwork, you're drained, and you're this, and you're trying to communicate what you need, and she can't listen because she's too focused on going clubbing this weekend with her friends. And that's not what you was looking for. But guess what? That's where you met her at. That's what you wanted at that time. And this is why when it comes down to my perspective on the subject, I have to work on me because I don't want to step into a realm or a world or a part of me. And then we start building this relationship off of a part of who I am. And then when I realize that the part that you love the most is my trauma, my traumatic side, and I start getting past that, but now you don't want what I'm becoming because I'm being better for me, but it's not good for you. He liked you better when you didn't work and you needed him. And you were home asking for him to cash app you and that. Now you're independent, got your own, and that's a problem because now he feels like he's a little belittled. You know, she had your back. She was right there with you. And girl, he was right there with you by your side, everything you wanted, everything you did. But then all of a sudden, things started opening up, and now he's nowhere to be found, and he's interested in other things and other people, and you're no longer now the thing. That's the thing that when it comes down to dealing with trauma, some of us we've never had anyone in our life to tell us that we were of value. How many of us have never heard our parents say, I love you, you're beautiful, you're great, you're a king, you're a queen, you're going to be great. Most of us was raised in a home, and I say us because a lot of us who are listening was raised in homes where it was, how can I put this, traditional trauma. It was handed down from generation to generation, and we was raised in that environment. Generational trauma. We was raised in that environment. And then all of a sudden we started shaping our world to match what we was in. And then you met someone that was like, that's not normal. Shamecca was just talking about that. She told her friend, that's not normal, right? For you to be in your teens and you sleeping with somebody that, that's not normal. I know they try to make it seem like that's good for you, but that's not. The moment you meet someone and they begin to tell you that, now you start reevaluating your life and you start saying, maybe I do need to work on something. In that place, I don't think that you're in a good place when you're not in a stable mind to go out and say, you know what, let me go and start working on becoming one with someone else when I'm not even one with me.
In my opinion, when you are, again, on a healing journey, and this person said they were in it for 2 years already. And in 2 years, you can learn a lot about yourself without even going to therapy if you just decide to be self-aware. So going to therapy and getting those correct tools, I feel like also it puts you in a better place to be able to date. Like I said, you don't need to say, I'm going to date when I feel that I'm all the way healed, because then you are never going to date. No one is ever fully healed. So I know that a healed person, A person who has not even done any work to heal yet, if they see something that they might have considered a red flag, like say you're going to therapy, doing the work, you're going to church, you're in ministry, you're doing so many things to better yourself, and you find somebody and you decide this is the person that I'm going to try to take, and they do something that's slightly off. Giving the example again, how you would come and tell me all of this stuff, and then little things start to pile on. I don't talk about it. I don't communicate about it. If I'm in my healing journey, I am going to communicate those things. Hey, this also seems off. I'm not going to let them pile up and pile and pile until I explode. I'm going to, hey, this is off and this is off. And then if we get to a point where I feel it's too much, an unhealed person who has not done the work is going to say something like, I'm not going through this again. I'm not doing this again. I've been here before, because it's the same red flags to them. Whereas a person, in my opinion, who is going and taking the correct steps to heal and is ready to date is going to sit that person down and say to them, hey, this doesn't seem right and this is why. So it's sitting down to have a conversation versus bleeding all over somebody who didn't even cut you. To me, those are two different ways of handling the same situation. And if you are in healing and you are in therapy and you are working on yourself spiritually, emotionally, mentally, then those things should come easier over time. I'm not saying, oh, I started therapy last week, so I'm ready to jump back into dating. I'm saying if it's been years and I have done the work and I'm ready to commit to somebody, I'm not saying commit to the first person you find, because even that, in working on yourself, you can start dating somebody, immediately see something that seems off, talk to them about it, assess the situation and see if it really is off, and then make a decision from there. For example, if I am dating somebody and I realize that he does not call me after 9 p.m., I rarely see him on the weekends, and he's really vague with what he's saying to me, if I pull him to the side and backtrack, if I'm unhealed, and I just say, I'm not going through this again, I'm not doing this again with you or with anybody, that's unhealed. But if I'm working on myself and I say, hey, this seems a little off, if I have enough awareness and he gives me an answer for why it seems off, a person who is a little bit more self-aware and more centered in themselves is able to tell if whatever the answer is them basically either lying to you and covering something up, or if it's genuine. Like if you say, I'm not going through this, I'm not doing this anymore, and they say, well, here's the reason why, and they say something weird like, oh, my phone dies at night, I don't usually have my charger with you. If you've gone through enough healing, you can say, yeah, that doesn't sound right. And I think that I'm strong enough in myself and I'm okay enough with myself to be alone like I've been all this time, that I'm gonna end it right here. And then I'm just gonna move on. Versus waiting and waiting and in your mind, for an example, when I started losing weight, because I'm also on a health journey. When I started losing weight, in my opinion, I kept saying, oh, I'm gonna do this for myself once I get to this side. And once I get to this side, no, okay, I'm at that weight. Let me get a little bit more of the weight off. Let me get a little bit more of the size up. That's the same thing. Let me get a little bit more of this mental and emotional weight off before I start doing this thing for myself. When you deserve it now, when you can have it now, it's just about moderation, like it is with losing weight, with physical weight. You want to do it in moderation. You can give yourself the good thing, but give it to yourself in moderation. I'm not saying, oh, I've been in therapy for 2 years, time to go find me a husband. No, but at least it's time to acknowledge that you are somebody worth loving and somebody worth being with, and finding somebody, because I feel like you should have grown enough in yourself to love yourself already and be at a place where you know yourself, and nobody can just come in and tell you anything, tell you you're beautiful, tell you you're handsome, tell you they've never met anybody like you, and it be what it, and they become all encompassed, that they are your thing now because they put these sweet nothings in your ear. If a guy comes along and tells you, wow, you're beautiful, and you working on yourself, you should be able to think, I know. You should say thank you because it's the polite thing to do. But in your mind, you should be like, I know. Or if a girl comes along, wow, you are so intelligent. You shouldn't feel like, oh, nobody's ever told me that before. I know. but you should say thank you. But that's why I feel like if you are in a good healing space, that nobody can pull you out of that. Nobody can pull you out of that to BS you, but also nobody can pull you out of that to come outside of you to make them the important thing. That you can be grounded enough and centered enough to also now start loving someone else.
Okay. All right. So before we get ready to get to this next letter, I do want to address some of the comments. I want us to be able to address some of the comments, and then I really want your opinion on it. What do y'all think on that before we get ready to go? Because with the person watching, I do want them to be able to hear that it's not just our opinion on it. But the real droid said most people are only bonded through their trauma. It's called trauma bonding, where the only thing they have in common is the wrong done to them, and there is no real love relationship past that. Michelle says, "How about therapy and relationship with God so you can be in the right relationship?" She says, "Sin and hell person is going to come off where it's going to be shown in character." Um,
Real quick, the real joy, what you said about trauma bonding is true, and there's another word for it is when people develop relationships through being commiserate, meaning I've been through this terrible thing, you've been through this terrible thing, so now we're bonded through it. It's the same as people who make friendships out of, oh, you don't like that person either, me either. Now we're best friends. We all have nothing in common besides the person that y'all hate or dislike. And when you go through a trauma bond, you can go through it actually two ways. That's why it's so important to be on a healing journey, because you can find somebody that you commiserate with and you can feel like, wow, they understand me and nobody else understands me. And that's where the second part of the trauma bond comes in. That's tricky because the second part of the trauma bond is Stockholm syndrome, where one person is way stronger than the other person and they affect the other person negatively. The weaker person becomes, for lack of a better term, the captive, and they're mistreated and they are trauma dumped on, and they have all these things go wrong. But this person knows me. Nobody knows me like this person. Nobody's been through it with me like this person. So that becomes their person. So trauma bonds are a really, really tricky thing, and they're easy to fall into, especially in this day and age. And when we're coming past COVID, I think that we've seen in the past few years some of the most intense and insane things that we've seen happen in the world. So it's easy now to find somebody who's been through some of the same things that you've been through and the crazy things that you've been through. So you end up bonding to somebody who, for a negative reason versus for a good reason. Oh, we're both into sports. We both started going to church. We both have the same ideals, morals, and beliefs. So yeah, trauma bonding is something very dangerous.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As a matter of fact, we're going to be dealing with that on one of the episodes. We're going to be talking about trauma bonds and things of that nature, because sometimes we don't even know what they are. We hear that term, but we don't really understand them. Even to bring it over, like we hear the term, like when people hear stuff about generational trauma or generational curses, we're going to deal with those things because we need to know what they look like, and maybe some of the things that was a part of stopping us from moving forward is some of these things. So I definitely want to be able to address those things. I want to reset the room as we get ready to pull up the second letter. Hi, I am Pastor Ricky McDonald Jr. This is my wife, Lady Shamecca McDonald. We are right now live on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. This is our first episode of Don't Get It Twisted. We thank you for joining us on today. And
don't
get it twisted.
Don't get twisted. Don't get it.
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
That's so stereotypical. Don't do that.
Don't get it twisted. So so it's our first episode of Don't Get It Twisted. So but today's episode of what we're talking about is dating while healing. I do want to address that. If you have a letter that you would like for us to address together on the live, I tell people that we do not bring names into it. We do not tell if it gets too personal. We will not get into too much of your personal business. But if you would like for us to discuss it and give you our opinion on it, you can write us, not just with this subject, but any topic. If you have some topics you would just like for us to discuss, we're willing to take those. You can write us through Facebook Messenger. You can write her, which is Shamecca. That's SHAMECCA McDonald. I had to make sure I spelled it out in my head. And then mine is RICKEY McDonald. Or you can write us through email at RickeyAndShamecca2023@gmail.com. All right. And we'll keep, I'll say that again. So just in case you didn't get it, we will repeat it towards the end. So you can definitely email us or write us, and we will do our best to add them into the lineup. I'm not saying we'll talk about it next time we live, but we will discuss it at some point in this journey that we're doing that we're praying about. Okay. So back to what we was talking about. We're getting ready to, we read one letter earlier from one person, and now we're going to read the Shamecca's going to read the next letter from our next writer.
Hello, Pastor and Shamecca. Hello.
Hello.
I am 29 years old and living a good life. I make great money at a job that I love, no kids yet, just 2 dogs, and my social life is pretty decent. But it wasn't always this way. 4 years back, I was in a very toxic relationship. I would cheat on her, lie to her, and disrespect her. In turn, she was verbally abusive and would lie about small things. All of our issues came to a head when she started drinking and became physically abusive as well. I would never hit her back, and this went on for a year before I left. In the years since our relationship, I have gone to therapy and worked really hard at self-improvement and being a better man. I even found a great church home and have gotten very involved in ministry. I recently ran into my ex while at an event. She looked great, and we got to talking about what we were up to. She told me that she had gotten counseling and other help for her past negative behaviors and addictions. She asked to keep in touch, so we exchanged numbers. We've been talking on the phone for about a month now and made plans to meet up for coffee. She jokingly admitted that she wouldn't mind spinning the block. Let me stop right there. If you don't know what spinning the block means, it just means coming back around. Jokingly admitted that she wouldn't mind spinning the block to see how the more mature and grounded us would work. If I'm being honest, I'm curious too. I definitely still have feelings for her. Is meeting up with her and possibly rekindling an old flame a bad idea? Any advice you guys would have would be appreciated. No, don't do that. Don't do that at all. They're exes for a reason. I'm sorry, I couldn't even wait. Don't do that. Do not. That's really all I got for that one. Do not do that. That woman put her hands on you. No, it's nice that she grew. It's nice that you grew. Exactly. And maybe continue to grow apart from each other. Do not do it because
she had to say it was the immediate response.
No, don't spin the block. Maybe go halfway around the block and see who else is back there. But don't spin it. Don't come completely around it, because nothing good comes from rekindling old flames. I don't care how many Hallmark and Lifetime movies you watched. I don't care what was on BET last night. Don't do that. Don't redate an ex, because they're an ex for a reason. Unless you guys split over something like time and distance, where they didn't have enough time for you, or it became a long distance relationship. Other than that, whatever the negative behaviors were that happened before, I'm not saying they'll happen again, but I am saying that people are who they are at their core.
Okay. So since you started out with Pastor Ricky, I'm going to give you Bible, okay? Because I believe that since we're talking about this right here, I will regret if I would not approach this from a Bible standpoint. All right. Hold on, Lord. Kenyatta said maybe go half around the block and see who else can be around. Yeah, I said I laughed at that too. So, all right. So now, if you know, for those who are watching, if you know the story about the Israel, right? They're enslaved for over 400 years in Egypt, right? God sends Moses. Moses released them. They get out to the wilderness. And watch this. The moment they run into their first problem, this is what their response is. The moment they run into their first problem, they get to the Red Sea, they said, I was better off in Egypt. Now, this is the crazy part. You were beaten, you were beaten, you was abused, you was mentally broken, physically broken, emotionally broken. You couldn't even spiritually be whole because you could not even worship your God in front of Egyptians who had 10 gods. I want to make that clear. They had 10 gods, and that you could not worship your one because you could be beaten for that. Now, out of all that you've been through, out of all the trauma you've experienced, and through generations, because this is 400 years, so now their great grands have been born into slavery, and some of us, we've been born into traumas that we didn't even know existed. And watch this. And now because we ran into a place where we are alone or lonely, because there are two different things. I want to clarify that alone and lonely are not the same, because you can be alone and not be lonely. And you can be lonely and not be alone. Okay. So, but then we have that same mindset. The moment we run into a problem, we want to go back to the very thing that we've already been delivered from. And then when we get there, the first thing you want to do is say, Lord, help me. God, bring me out of this. Lord, why? I should have never. And when we could have avoided those things. Now, I'm not going to say, Shemeka said something, and I'm going to look at it that's why I love this. We can look at it from a little different. I'm not saying you cannot go back to an ex and it cannot work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you go back, will they really change? Have they changed? Or have they found another way to hide who they are? Or have that person change, but who they are now is not someone you're willing to be with. And you're still willing to go back to what you've already been delivered from. And when you go back, you're going to see another side of them that you may not be comfortable with. I'm going to give an example. I have a friend of mine who was dating a guy who beat her, right? Matter of fact, it was a cousin of mine. She was dating a man who beat her. She separated from him. They were no longer together, right? Because she had children with him, she was trying to be cordial and trying her best to work on it. He wanted them to stay together. She didn't want that. He showed up at her job and killed her at her job. You know what I'm saying? I want to make that very clear. He unalived her at her job. Okay? And I have to say it that way for those who on TikTok, you know why. Because Facebook and YouTube, like, why you say unalive? Because I would be completely kicked out of TikTok for using the wrong language. My sister's right there. She'll tell you. She said, yes, she did. And that was because she was in something. She went back to something, trying to just be there for the child's sake. And I'm not saying that's your case. I'm just saying, at what cost are you willing to spin the block? That term in itself is not something I'm looking forward to. If I got to spin the block,
block
you know what I'm saying?
Whose block you spinning? That's funny.
If I have to spin the block, you know, y'all witness this. We live. This is recorded.
There's no instance where you would be spinning the block, but hypothetically.
Right? Spinning the block, the term itself does not sound like something I'm willing to do to be with someone. Right? If God forbid me and her was separated for any means, I'm not spinning the block. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. That means you are putting yourself in danger to go back to. That's what you're doing. And a lot of times and this is the question I ask you. Why are you willing to go back? Is it because this is someone that I felt as if, you know, I didn't give a fair chance to, so I'm gonna give him a fair chance? Or is it because, you know what, I'm tired of coming home to a lonely place. I'm tired of being by myself. I'm tired of this. So you know what, this will do. At least I know his, because that's what we'll say. At least I know them. At least I know them. At least I know what I'm dealing with when I get with them. At least I know. No, listen to that. At least that means you're willing to settle. Anytime you start a sentence off with at least, that means that I'm willing to settle. I'm willing to settle. So I do agree with the fact that no, I mean, I want to jump out that quick before finishing your letter, but
Listen,
but she wanted to tell
young
me.
man, nephew, whoever you are out there, listen to Auntie. Look, come close to your screen and hear me. It's great that you worked on all of that. You are in church, you are in ministry. You sound like you got it going on. So why go back? Why go backwards? Why not put yourself out there more instead of going back? Why not put yourself out forward, move forward, put energy into finding somebody else? I'm sure she does look great because when you stop drinking, you look a lot healthier. I'm sure that she does, seem nicer because if you're not hitting me in the face, then yeah, you would seem very nice. Nephew, whoever you are, sir, don't do it. I keep calling you nephew because you seem like a young man. Auntie, listen to Auntie. Don't do it. Don't do that. Just take all those good things that you named about yourself because you're obviously aware that you have all these good attributes. So then why go and give them backwards? Why not pay it forward? Look at it like that you are this more centered person who needs to find better now. And it's great because she could possibly be just as healed. She could possibly, really not be abusive anymore, not be an alcoholic, not lie, not cheat, not do any of that stuff. That's great, but she needs to now give that to somebody else. So.
And that it goes back to, because we are talking about something that we're talking about dating while healing. And I want to tell you this, is that you cannot determine another person's healing. And I say that because a lot of times, I said this before, and I pray that you really listen to this. There is a difference between a window view and a mirror view. Many people have window views of themselves when they're talking about healing. That means they get a glimpse of what they need to work on. So if you look out a mirror right now, if you look out a window, I wish I could show you my window. You look out a window, you can only see a reflection of yourself, but you cannot see the detailed problem. But you look in the mirror, you see it all. You see the black head, you see the ingrown, you see the hair that growing there, you see it all. You right? Y'all look in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, where'd that come from?" Right? Right now, I'm letting my hair grow because I had a scratch in my face from one of the guys at my job, and I was like, I can't cut this down until that scratch heals because I'm not going to have no mark in my face. But you can't see that, right? From where you are right now, you can't. But I can see it because I'm close enough to see it. And I say that not because I want to talk about skincare, which she could talk about. That's not my thing. I'm talking about the fact of that many of us have conversation with people who says, I've changed based on a window experience. They were looking out at their past, looking out at their life and said, you know what? I'm not as good as I thought I was without them. I'm not as, you know what? Rent was a little cheaper when they was here helping me pay it. You know what? It was a little better when they was going on trips with me and they helped me buy. But now they're like, I need them back. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to change this. And they'll start looking at the things that they need to change that really is superficial. It's not even stuff that they really need to be working on. But when you look at that mirror, and I pray that when you're listening to this, sir, that you have that mirror moment where you say, you know what? Because that's what you're looking at when you look at that mirror. This is a personal thing. I need better. I deserve better. If you don't get to that place, you're going to keep spinning the block. And every time you spin, you're going to lose a part of yourself. Every time you spin, you're not just spinning the block. You're spinning your heart. You're spinning your mind. And I'm telling you, a peace of mind, and people don't understand this, a peace of mind is valuable. You can't pay for that, right? I don't care how much it is. I'd rather spend right now, where I live at right now, it costs me much more than what I used to pay. Much more. It costs us much more. But the peace that I have here is worth every dime. And I say that because you might jump into something saying, I'm willing to work through this and I'm willing to give it a second try. But you have to ask yourself, am I willing to put myself through that again? Well, how you know it's going to be that again? No. I didn't say it will. Ask yourself, am I willing to put myself through that again? Why am I asking that question? Because let's say you go through that again, because you already know what they're capable of. So that means, am I willing to go through that again? If you're not, if you have not healed from the last time, that means, why would I go back to what I have not healed from? Which is a whole nother thing. It's hard for you to heal from things that you have not given distance to. So I say this, and this is probably one of the things that me and her agree on today. Don't spin the block, sir. Don't go back. Go forward. Begin to start taking that energy, that time and stuff, and invest in going forward. And you like, and this is the thing. You may find out that who God really has for you, you don't have to work as hard to keep. You don't have to work as hard to impress and to be with and to love. It's not that hard for it to be reciprocated. So, you have anything you want to say?
Yes, is that another point is that, like I said, both of you may have really grown, but evolved you and evolved her may not mesh well together anymore. Like I believe you said that she developed the drinking problem. So evolved her could be, I don't drink anymore, but I like to go sit at a lounge, hear the music, maybe do some book. And evolved you could be, but I just want to sit home and read a book. So y'all both have grown, but y'all don't match each other anymore. Y'all didn't match each other in the first place, obviously, because that relationship's not like a match. But you definitely don't match each other moving forward if you guys don't have the same interests. If what you see as love, as reciprocation, as support, as all these things that make up a great relationship, she might not even see those same things. So both of you could have evolved, but evolved into two different people. I was about to start a whole spiel about Pokemon, but that's, I'm not going to drag y'all through that. I'm trying my best to stay on topic here, but the more y'all see me on live, y'all realize that I am a bit all over the place. So we're going to leave the Pokemon analogy out and just say that you both have evolved into what could possibly be as incompatible. Go find someone else. Hit Christian Mingle if you need to. I don't know if that's still a website, but check it out. So, but not like Bumble. But like Christian Mingle, maybe some Facebook dating, maybe a church event, but not backwards.
Okay. So what I want to do is, or what we would like to do, is we're going to open the floor, right? For any questions, anything that you would like for, it's going to be Q&A. We want to make sure that we ask. It could be questions based on this topic. We would like for it to be, we would like for it to be questions based on this specific topic so that we can stay on point, because we don't want to pull, the time into a different direction. But if you have a different topic that we may not have talked about today, you're more than welcome to bring it to the email. Once again, I am Pastor Ricky McDonald. This is my wife, Lady Shamecca McDonald. I was about to burp, sorry. This is Lady Shamecca McDonald, and we are live right now on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll be coming to you on Sundays at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are starting on what we like to call Don't Get It Twisted. And we're going to be dealing with different topics, all type of topics. I mean, some of it would be more of a spiritual base, some of it will be more practical stuff, but we're going to be dealing with it all around. And it's going to be, so today's topic, for those who came in a little later, was dating while healing. Should we do it or should we not? So that's kind of where we were headed. So for the next few moments, we want to open the floor for anyone who has any questions, anyone that had the thing they would like to say. If you are on TikTok, please take the time out to share, hit them heart buttons, let people know that we are here. Thank y'all for who've been up here, who've been doing it so far. The same on Facebook, share, let people know that we are live so that they can be a part. Hopefully, as we continue to become consistent at doing this, that we'll, it'll grow to something where we can actually start having, some in-person things, okay? So the floor is open for anyone. You have any questions? Trust me, I'm not telling you have to have questions. If you don't, we'll give it a few moments. If you don't have questions, that's great too. And we'll get ready to close out for the day. But we do want to give the opportunity. The questions based on dating while healing. Should we or should we not? You're more than welcome to type your question, or if you would like to, and I think TikTok might be the only one I'm able to do it right now. If you would like to, you can actually come up and ask your question. We'll open the floor where you can come up, but I'm letting you know, when you come up here, everyone can hear you. So it's not like it's you just talking to us in private. They're going to hear you. They might even be able to hear you over YouTube and Facebook, because I think my phone is pretty loud. Okay. So if you have any questions, come in and you're more than welcome to ask. Okay. There was one question that was texted me earlier when I told someone about this. Their question was, if you're dating while healing, is it okay to become physical during that time, or should we wait until we exactly know where we stand at? I asked them to specify physical. Only reason why I say that is because physical means different things to different people. So what they were talking about is actually being intimate. Thank you. Because I can't use the other term on TikTok. So they was talking about being intimate. I explained to them what that consists of, and then I said this. If you are going through a healing process, and maybe that person could be going through healing or could be healed, but when you become one, you're only giving them a part of you while they're giving you all of them, and that can cause an issue later on. So I do ask them. I said, take the time out to make sure that you know what you're looking for, that you don't step into something and it becomes a physical connection, and that's all it needs. And then all of a sudden you go from being friends to just buddies, if you know what I'm talking about. And I don't want that for anyone, because that can become damaging emotionally when you're looking for more and realize that the other person is not looking for the same. All right.
And when it comes to intimacy, what a lot of people don't think about is that you're meshing energies when you do that. It's reciprocal. I'm giving you my energy, you're giving me your energy. So you could be in a different healing space than the other person. They may not be as evolved in their healing as you are yet. So now you're taking on their energies, you're taking on their vibes, you're taking on a whole bunch of things that you are not ready to deal with or have already dealt with, or now you're about to have to deal with them all over again because you exchanged energies with somebody.
So, we have any questions? I want to make sure that we open the floor. You can have questions or statements. It don't have to be a question. It could be a statement. Once again, we are asking that you be respectful of everyone, including us and others. I do not want to block anyone, but I have no problem doing so. Okay? That's all. Yeah, TikTok just gave my puzzle I had to go solve right quick. So forgive me if you're on after a certain period of time. Intimacy is sharing your heart as well as a physical connection. Absolutely. Pastor Patterson said that. I definitely agree with that. Intimacy is definitely that. And the problem is a lot of times we don't really recognize that it's intimacy. Intimacy is seeing, it's not just what you see on the outside, it's seeing something deeper. The part we don't see is the part that matters the most, which is the spiritual connection that is making place. She was talking about those. It's a spiritual connection that's taking place as well as a physical. We definitely gonna deal with that one day. But I do want to ask, what are your opinions? I'm gonna ask that question. What are your opinions on dating while healing? Should you? Yes or no? We're gonna make it very simple, so that way no one has to type out an essay. It's gonna be very simple. Should we date while we're healing, or should we not? Yes or no? Yes, if say yes, I agree, or no, I think you shouldn't. That way, the person who is watching can see other people's opinion on the subject as well. Pastor Patterson said no.
And if you give a yes or no, but if you give a yes or no, you don't have to type out a whole essay about it. But why? It can be just a sentence. Why? Why don't you agree, or why do you agree with dating while healing?
Okay. So yeah. So basically we want to know your opinion. Yes or no? No, I believe you shouldn't because of. Yes, I think it's good because of. For me, absolutely not, because I know what I've done to people. Okay. She says, Michelle says, for her, it's absolutely not. She said because she knows what she's done to people, So she's like, no, while I was trying to go through my own traumas, I know the damage I've caused, which is that was my standpoint on it as well. I know the damage I've caused to others while going through trying to deal with myself. So I can definitely understand that. I definitely relate to that. Um, so is there anyone else? Yes or no? Do you believe that you should dating while healing? Yes, if you are self-aware and considerate of how you affect the people around you. Yes. Yep. So
that's my twin, by the way.
Yeah.
So
So Kay said, yes, if you are self-aware and considerate of how you affect the people around you. That's Shamecca's standpoint on that. Like, absolutely. Like, there's nothing wrong with you dating as long as you understand where you are and how it affects others. Pastor Patterson said, while the healing process is acknowledging your faults, shortcomings, and maybe deliverance. Okay. She said no while you're going through that. She said no while the healing process is acknowledging your faults. So she says no while you're going through the same thing I was saying as well. No, she said no. Pastor Patterson says no, not until you get through the healing process and acknowledge what caused you to go through these things so that you don't have to repeat that. Or as the young man says, spin the block. Okay. So Mr. Austin says, yes, if you understand who you are trying to be. Yes, once again, it's a yes, as long as you understand who you are and where you're headed. Remember, a GPS works once it has a current location and a location and a destination. So now the problem is you have to know where you are. For those who are taking notes, who writing stuff down, write that down. I must know where I am. Why is that? Because if you're looking to date while you're healing, you need to know where you are. Why? Because I don't want to end up causing damage to someone else. Or to bring it back to the analogy, I don't want to give anyone false destination. I don't want to tell them I'm in one place and then they follow that road and find out that's not where I'm at. False signals.
Giving somebody your wrong location.
Yeah. So I want to make sure, know where you are. Know where you are. It's very important. You could have some deep hurt and pain. Absolutely. There are some of us who have been through some things that it's hard for us to even really talk about. Let's be honest. There are some things that some of us have been through that it is hard to even talk about. Because even when I talk about it, it makes me angry. It gets it really do. And now for me to get with someone and then I'm not prepared to deal with that yet, and I haven't worked through that, then I'm going every time that section of my life get hit, I'm gonna end up repeating that process. And I don't want to do that. So absolutely. Anyone else? For those who just joined us, I am Pastor Ricky McDonald. This is my wife, Lady Shamecca McDonald, and we are here on today doing our first episode of Don't Get It Twisted. And and we want to thank you. And we're coming from the topic today of dating while healing. Mr. Austin says, no one starts a job or career at the top. We come in and work our way into better positions. Doesn't mean we can't work until we are experts. Just means a novice will work until they become a veteran. Same with relationships, in my opinion. Get into one knowing you are trying to be better.
That's it.
That's wow. That's
that
good.
Is it.
I definitely love that.
Absolutely.
Kenyatta said, "That's my twin." She says, I'm just trying. I'm just starting my journey to healing and becoming truly whole. So I've caused a lot of hurt and pain in my past due to the lack of healing. Oh, true. I definitely understand that. I definitely get it. So before we get ready to go today, first off, we want to take the time out to say thank you for joining us on our first episode. Come on, y'all. First episode. We actually got through today, and we're grateful for all of you. Come and join us again on next Sunday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we get ready to go into our next subject. I'll be posting on what the subject is so please follow us. Follow Shamecca McDonald on Facebook. Follow me, Ricky McDonald on Facebook, or you can follow us on Twitter. Not Twitter. Wow, forget it. No problem. I
I
don't
don't
be on
have
Twitter.
that, so.
Yeah, I'm so used to saying it. So, but follow me on TikTok at Pastor Ricky as we get ready to go. But for those who would like to send that, maybe you didn't want to type out what you felt and you want to, let us know some things, you can write us. It's for those on Facebook or YouTube, it is on the screen. For those who on TikTok, it is Ricky Rickey and Shamecca SHAMECCA 2023 at gmail.com. So it's Ricky and Shamecca 2023 at gmail.com. And you can send us an email letting us know exactly. No, there you go. She just got through putting it up there. For those who are there, I'm going to pin the comment. Okay. So you make sure that you take the time out to go and follow her. She's up here on TikTok as well. But inbox us. Let us know. And if you have some topics, you're like, you know what? This is one of the things I'm going through. I would like for y'all to talk about this so I can get some different input on it. You're more than welcome to send that, and we will get to yours as soon as possible. And if you have a letter based on the topic we'll be using, you're more than welcome to send it so that we can also address it. Or send your letter in. And as soon as it goes into one of the topics, we'll just read your letter with that topic because we're not using names. And if we feel as if it gets too personal where someone can know who you are, then we'll kind of, we'll pull those details out so that no one knows. Because you say, well, I was the 44th president, then of course everybody knows who that was. I don't have to, So I want to make sure that we, so if it's too personal, we'll pull those details out to avoid you being known. Because we want you to be able to speak and open up here, but we also want to make sure that you get the information that you would like to have during that time.
And when it comes to topics, like you said, these are past stuff. I am not. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I'm not. So, so you can send questions that have to do biblical questions. You can send things about, but I am on a spiritual journey, and I've learned a lot. So you can ask questions about spiritual stuff. You can mental, emotional, sometimes even physical, because we are also on a physical journey. We do healthy stuff, but we're not. I doubt we're gonna have like whole topics about food. But we will do things on mental health, emotional health, spiritual growth. So there's no topic that's too broad if you have a question about it. Relationship advice. Don't ask us questions like, what do y'all do on Saturday? Don't send something weird, But like anything that you have, ask. Don't be weird.
Yeah. Once again, I don't want to block anybody. Don't ask me nothing about
and it sounds funny to say that, but you would be surprised.
Surprise ain't a word.
As to what comes across these screens sometimes.
Yes, I've had some really. Do not try to date me over the thing.
Do not try to date him over the thing. Matter of fact, think about it like green eggs and ham. Do not try to date him here or there. Do not try to date him anywhere. So I just needed. Don't do that. This is not.
Try
this
to
is
talk
not
to her. Don't respect us and respect each other. Please do not go and comment on someone else's comment in a negative way. I thank y'all for being respectful today. I didn't have to block anyone. I clap for that.
Good job, guys.
Good job. I really do. But I do want to take the time out to say this on a serious note. To both people who wrote us, I want to say this. First off, thank you for entrusting us with your letter and entrusting our thoughts on the subject. Part of y'all. But I do want to tell you this. Wherever you are now, take that time out to work on you so you can perfect you to the best of your ability. And when I say perfect you, I mean make you as best as possible for you. You'll never be perfect. I want to make sure that's clear. I don't care who you are. None of us are perfect. You may be perfect for them. She's perfect for me, but she's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. So I'm not telling you go be perfect because that will cause you to be stressed out. However, I am saying be the best you possible. And while you're on your healing journey, right? Whether you're dating or not dating, continue to take that serious Because if you're not at the best you, whoever you get with are only going to see a part of who you are. And you're only going to be giving them, which is not fair, a portion of who you are. And if you're only going to give portions, I hate the term, and this is me, I hate the term we give 50-50. I do not like that. That means 50% of you is going somewhere else that is not benefiting you or your home. I do not like the term. I do say I'm giving 100%. Why? Because my 100 will go towards where it needs to. In my life, the life of my family, the life of my home, the life of my ministry, it will go. But I'm gonna give my best. Michelle says, "Well, this was pretty good. I remember not being able to answer that question of who are you?" Amen. And Pastor Patterson says, "Although we've been married 40 years, we still date each other. We have to work every day together." We're gonna be dealing with that too, and I'm happy you said that because we might actually be reaching out to y'all, you and Pastor, on that one. 40 years of marriage. Pastor Patterson said 40 years her and her husband married, and they still date, which means guess what? They're still working on each other while working together on them. Separate individuals and them as a one whole person. So, all right. So we thank y'all for joining us. No matter what I do, I close out in prayer. And the reason why I close out in prayer is because of the fact that I want to make sure that we always close the live with closing you off with God. Okay? So let's do that. Father God, we thank you for each and every person that is here. We thank you for the opportunity that you have given us, God, to be here to share our opinion and thoughts towards those people who came in. We count it not robbery that they took up their time to be here. And we pray, God, that the information that was given out today was beneficial to them as well as others who may come in and watch this at a later time. Father, we thank you for each and every person that is here. And we thank you, Lord God, most of all, for your presence that you have always shined upon us, Lord God, your presence, your love, your light. And Lord God, we thank you for speaking through us, Lord God, to be able to minister at this point and at this level, to help somebody, God, who may not have anyone else to speak to, who may not know where to go. So we thank you, Lord. Continue to show us what to do and how to do. As those who are listening, God, you do the same for them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We thank each and every last one of y'all for joining us. And we pray that y'all have a great weekend. And I'll see y'all in the morning for Morning Manna. All right. Y'all be blessed.